You do a roll call, Polly.
Yes. Weston Lane and WLFEA directors. Cindy Russell. Here. Linda Stint.
Here.
Mike Webb.
Here.
Adam Holbrook. Vanessa Buss. Here. SBFR and WLFEA directors. Stephanie Restrepo. Jim Polisi.
Here.
David Carrillo.
Here.
Lori Hempel. Keith Stanton.
Here. Thank you, Holly. And Stephanie let us know that she may be late, that she can get away from her previous engagement. We have quorums from all three entities. Public comments? Any public comments? Indeed. We have a presentation from Acuity LLC, our auditor. There she is.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Great.
Okay, good. I am Corey from Acuity, the district's audit firm, and here to do all three presentations. I will be the good news girl tonight. I'll just start by saying that. So your staff did a great job of getting ready for audit, and for I wanted to just draw out, the first thing I wanted to talk about was how great of a job they did between reconciling between the three entities, because it is a unique situation accounting wise. And in the past, we've really asked them to be diligent about that. And this year they went above and beyond everything we've asked for. So wanted to start by congratulating them on doing just a really great job with the finances this year. We love the change in accounting software. It's having real fund accounting software is a big deal. And it makes it a lot easier for audit. So with that, I'll start with Sayusla. We didn't have any specific findings, no minimum standards issues, and minimum standards are budget compliance, public contracting compliance, all the things that Oregon specifically wants us to look at. So no issues there. All of your funds had net income for the year. And the general fund has about 600,000 of ending fund balance, and the reserve funds together had about 1.2 million. So a good year there. You know, it's since operations are in WLFEA, you know, there's not a whole lot more to examine there. With the ambulance district, we did have some journal entries. We actually had journal entries in all three entities, but it was really, none of them were concerning entries. It was really just the cleanup to cash basis and then from the conversion. So I don't anticipate any journal entries next year. If we have some, I'll be a little surprised. So I always like to address that with boards. It's important that you know that we're not making 20 changes, you know, that are significant to the numbers that you've been given already. So back to the ambulance district, general fund had net income about $561,000, ending fund balance of about 700. The capital fund in the ambulance district also just had transfers for the year and ended just about 300,000. I want to take a little bit of time and talk about the Life Med Fund because your finance director, it's been a thorn in her side, and I know she wants to get it resolved. So the Life Med Fund, we did some research when Trish came in and your former finance director retired. They knew that that ending balance was not what they expected it to be. They expected it to be a lot lower. And so we went actually back to 2004, which is the first year that the Secretary of State has the electronics audits available to us. And what we found is every year that there were budgeted transfers, so say there was 90,000 or 130,000 or whatever they were budgeted out of the Life Med Fund, those transfers were made in the amount of what was budgeted. And so the ending fund balance from the Life Med Fund has grown only because it was making more than was being transferred out of it. And so I know the intention with your current management group is that it whatever it makes in the year, it gets transferred out to the general fund in general in the next year. So in order to be able to utilize that ending fund balance, because it wasn't, you know, a lot of times we come in and they're like, that's not right. And it's because transfers didn't get made or that sort of thing. Because it really just has been growing because of the way that it was budgeted. what I told Trish is that you either need to do a supplemental budget in this 25-26 fiscal year to recognize that additional fund balance and those transfers out and then transfers into, I assume, the general fund. Or when you are doing the 26-27 budget to bump up those transfers for that 1 year to clear most of that fund balance and to bring it down to just what you want that carryover to be. So unfortunately, it's not a super easy fix, but there is a fix available in this fiscal year. And so you can get that done if you guys wanted to accomplish that now. Ambulance district also didn't have any budget public contracting issues, the minimum standard stuff. And that leaves us with the fire authority. We had one big journal entry. It was because of switching from accrual to cash basis. And like I said earlier, I just don't think we'll see that again next year. The general fund had a loss of about $430,000. But even with that, you still have about 5 months of carryover, which is really good. We love to see 6 months. We say 5 months is kind of one of those minimums in fire district just because of the ebb and flow of revenue. Even though yours is coming from your districts still have to get their revenue in before they can turn it over to you. So that was about it. Did anybody have any questions? I anticipated you might have some about the life med stuff.
I'm not seeing any questions.
Okay, well, good.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations to your staff. They did a great job.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll echo that. Thanks to your staff and you for good findings from the others. I thought. Yeah, that life ed, that's been a thorn in our side for years. We didn't know where that money was or could get that wrapped up.
Do we need to say anything because we did roll call and Director Holbrook's here, so he gets credit for being here?
It does get credit for being here. Oh, thank you, credit.
Credit has been noted.
He brings coffee next time. So the consent agenda consisting of meeting minutes from several meetings, staff reports, and correspondence. Would any director like to pull something out of the consent agenda for discussion? Hearing none, consent agenda is adopted as printed. Monthly financials.
So we're about halfway through the budget year. The majority of the tax dollars have been received. And there's just a couple items that I wanted to point out in the reports in there for the WLFEA reports. On the WLFEA balance sheet, you're gonna see a negative clearing. And that is due to payroll. Payroll is usually done or given out on the 4th of the month. In this case, it was the 2nd. The bank took out the money on the 31st. We had to change the date of usually those dates all align with payroll. We had to, because of how the software works, we had to change the journal entry for the cash transaction from the bank back a day so that we could reconcile it. It wouldn't appear otherwise in the reconciliation reports. So that's why you're gonna see a negative there. And then under WLFEA, under the business consulting, that amount has increased. We've got the final billing for that 360 review that we addressed last board meeting. Other than that, there's really nothing to report. Do you guys have questions for me?
Any questions on the financials? Thank you. The whole business, we've got policies. Any questions, comments on policies? They're always welcome. And we will address those. New business, we have the audits listed for all three entities, no action needed. So, but again, if you'd like to see the audit report, let us know, we'll get you a copy.
They're package. But they were emailed to us.
No, you got it, okay, perfect. Okay, we have a couple of resolutions to address.
The first resolution is for Western Lane Ambulance District. This is resolution number 2025-07. This is, we had budgeted a transfer of $310,000 in the fiscal year 23-24, and that actual transaction did not happen. And we need that to happen. So we are doing a supplemental budget so that we can get that money transferred over to that brought us fund.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution number 2025-07, resolution to amend the FY 25-26 budget.
Okay, so motion by Director Butler,
Second.
second by Director Stan. Any discussion? You do a roll call vote for Western Line Ambulance District?
Director Cindy Russell,
Yes.
Director Linda Spence,
Yes.
Director Mike Webb,
Yes.
Director Adam Holbrook,
Yes.
and Director Vanessa Bus.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes, thank you.
The next budget resolution is for Batesville Valley Fire and Rescue. It's budget number 2026-01. We had an audit fee increase for Batesville Valley Fire, and mainly that I think they got them confused. One is supposed to be for WLFEA, and the other one is supposed to be for Batesville Valley Fire. I think they mixed them up because the contract was originally under Batesville Valley Fire. So it's the bill was $16,000, and so we need to adjust the budget so that we can pay that $16,000.
So I need a motion to approve resolution.
A motion to approve resolution 2026-01 to amend budget.
Motion by Director for the
Second.
second by Director Police. Any discussion, questions? Okay, Holly, can you do SCFR roll call vote?
Director Stephanie Restrepo, Director Jim Polisi,
Yes.
Director David Carrillo,
Yes.
Director Lori Heppel, and Director Keith Stanton.
Yes.
Motion passes, thank you. So on to some budget items for fiscal year 26-27. We need to approve the budget calendar, I believe that in your board packets. And
Could I take the question back at the finance report
what, of course,
before we get into the budget committee?
yeah,
Here, just one. I've noticed that there are a lot of entries for systems design, this means for a day. What are those?
Those are the ambulance revenue that we get in. So when they bill insurance or systems design, West is the third party vendor that does all of our billing.
Ah.
And so all those are just deposits coming.
So that's just the name of the billing company.
Mhm.
Compared to-
a lot, yes.
I computed out the current cash asset to property tax collections around 8.4 million, is that correct?
If that's what's in the report, yes. Are you talking about budgeted amount, or are you talking about actual dollars in which report are you referring to?
I tallied up the three and it came to 8,374,000.
Are you just looking under SPFR?
I'm for all of them, SBSR, Western Lane, and Wolfie.
So Wolfia doesn't get tax dollars.
I think it means the,
Right.
the,
But that is-
district and
Yeah, so between the health district and
Yeah.
the levy, there's three different tax lines depending on the report that you're looking
Right.
at.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, there's the prior year tax line on one of the reports, and then Sayes Valley Fire just has the one current tax year. And then Western Land Ambulance has the prior, and then they have a line for the levy and a line for, regular tax dollars.
Basically, so I came up with 8.4. In prior years, what's been the lowest balance of the current cash assets?
Say that number.
Current cash assets. Checking accounts, money market funds, investments, what has been the lowest level on that? I assume there's nothing here. We are receiving up the property taxes. We have some other revenues going in.
So, I don't track that. We've been trying to move all of our funds, or the majority of our funds, into the WLFEA account, because that's where we're gonna get the highest rate of return. And then some of the accounts, we have to keep a minimum, we try to keep a minimum balance in certain accounts. And off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you what those are, but I can email them to you. And we try to adhere to those. But we try to keep the majority of that money in the LGIP account, so we can get the higher interest rates.
I have a question or clarification, are you thinking of the any cash carryover for which entity, or is it like the year end?
We're just trying to just feel for what the minimum, if something catastrophic happens, what tends to be the amount that we can keep going year after year after year.
We keep 5 months worth of revenue,
Yeah, actually, I'm talking about that.
because we don't get tax dollars till November, so starting July, we have to have some money, so, yeah, so. In an absolute emergency, we could tap into those funds, but then July, we'd have no money for anything.
Right, so 5 months, this.
Revenue doesn't come in.
Before we have these start trying to.
Exactly.
So if we approach the property tax collection, that the amount of funds we have dwindles down. And then property taxes pick them back up again.
Correct.
They tend to dream around too. So this is not just carryover budget, it's an actual, just before the property taxes get collected, what you tend to dwindle down to.
I don't know that I can answer that easily, I have to look. Mainly because we aren't required to have separate funds, or separate accounts for each fund that we have. So the majority of our dollars are in that LGIP account. So if you're, we don't dwindle down, significantly, because we have those reserve funds. So the apparatus fund, all those funds also have dollars in the LGIP account, associated with them. And so, if you're gonna refer to just our checking account, well, our checking account, we maintain, I believe it's at least a $50,000 balance in there. And then the LGIP accounts they're only gonna be a huge amount, because we have those funds in
Everything basically goes into the IGA and then pull it out of that.
the LGIP.
Right. What is the return on investments of the IGAs?
The last time we looked, it was I think it was at 4%, it might be 4.5.
And you said the checking you tend to keep around 50,000?
I believe that's the minimum. I'd have to look at what those minimums are, but Laura's very good at keeping those to those minimum.
Well, I noticed that in the audit report. That is said for Saginaw Valley Fire and Rescue. We had $930,000 in the non-interest bearing checking account. For Western Maine Ambulance District. There was let's see here. Two numbers, 250 and 239. WLFEA, we've got a bunch more. Anyways, it came up to $2.5 million. In non-interest bearing checking accounts at the Northern Pacific Bank. And just saying 50,000.
So most of them have been switched over to LGIP, but when we also have payroll. And so payroll is a pretty big expenditure, and so you're gonna see those funds, and then, so it really is a matter of what bills are getting paid. Currently, there's a check, one of the checks is for $500,000 for the SCBA's. Well, we have to transfer money over to our checking account, so, it's it's pretty fluid. So the questions about how much we keep is really hard for me to answer, and when those monies get transferred over, really is dependent on the checks that we're writing.
So about how much do you tend to go through per month?
I believe the last transfer, we try to keep it even once the tax dollars come in, and, I believe the last one was $450.
So 450,000 per month typically is going to be checking accounts and.
Yeah, roughly.
Payments, we've got payroll, and occasionally 500 pops up.
Right, it really is dependent on what the bills are and what checks we are expecting to write.
Okay, and one of the things that I noticed on the audit is that we have everything through the Urban Pacific Bank.
Our checking accounts are
Our
correct.
accounts. Cause I know we have vice presidents here, and I'm just wondering why we're not spreading that around all the other banks in town or within the tax district. Especially since, it says the audit, we're 250,000 insured by FDIC, the rest is through PFCP, which is.
Right.
At the point, public funds are guaranteed, they're collateralized. So any public entity that banks with a bank, those funds are actually cash secured. So
So why don't we spread some of that around all the other banks?
you don't have to for the FDIC insurance, so that's the point.
No, but we're in the community, we should spread this out.
So,
Well, it's reducing exposure to what happens to just one bank.
okay, so let me answer. So we are required as a public entity to only use specific banks and they have to be on the list through the Oregon Treasury. And so if they're not on that list, then we don't utilize them. We also are required to go out for, a RFP when we change banks. And I will be honest, I have not done that since I've been here. I'm not sure when the last time that was done.
When Dina was here, because we had the banks come in and give us presentations.
It we're probably due to do that. I've been worried about other things, not banking and, because changing banks isn't easy. Adding signers is not an easy task, so, we just haven't had the time to do that, but we probably should.
Are there any other local banks that are on this approved list?
I would have to look. I think
Local
that-
Bank in Florence, there's only one local bank in Florence, everything else is owned by conglomerations.
Yeah, the only one that I'm aware of off the top of my head would be US Bank. I don't know about the other ones. I'd have to check with the Department of Treasury.
So I think we want to be utilizing other banks as well, like I said, to spread liability and things spread the involvement in the community.
I just wanna make one comment though, I worked at the Boys and Girls Club. And I know from our perspective, which is a microscopic amount compared to what we're dealing with here, is that I have money in all kinds of different accounts. And that transfer process is a nightmare.
Yeah.
And you start spreading money to different banks, you've created even a bigger nightmare. And OPB, from my experience, when I worked them, make it so smooth, it's not an issue when I gotta pull money here and I gotta pull money here. I would vote, I, as a board member, I would absolutely not agree to do something, because it would be a nightmare for the ladies and take up so much more time that would be not value added to the work that's being done. From a business perspective, the transfer funds.
We have a fund, total fund in a bank account, other opposed to spreading them out. Because you've got a number of different funds.
But most of those are in the LGIP, so they're invested with the state,
Right, that's still, I know about the MG.
That makes sense.
yeah, but it's spread around a little
There's
bit.
also a money market account, what's the return on that?
So most of the money markets, we have closed. We moved all the funds to, the LJP, except for the one that all of the ambulance deposits get deposited into. And that we just keep separate, and it's only for ambulance deposits, because we have to reconcile those deposits, and it's just easier if the only thing going into that account is ambulance deposit.
Okay, so. I said that, we got the audit, that said 2.5 million non-interest bearing accounts, it's like what?
Yeah, well, and that's why, and we should probably look at maybe, investing some of those dollars, but I don't know what the,
Sure.
I don't know what those investments would look like, because we typically buy a lot of apparatus on a regular basis. Regular being, every couple of years. And so it makes it really hard to do any type of investing like that. But we can move the majority over that to the LJP, which is what we've done.
Yeah, as I said, 2.5 million non-interest bearing, I thought everything was in general, except what was the necessary cash flow for the monthly expenses.
Yeah, and I think the majority of that now is just the checking accounts.
Alright, thank you.
Chris, point of order, if you have that much money sitting in a checking account, you're looking to move it to the LGFB if it's not gonna be used for something. Anything. And how quickly does money move from LGFB to the bank account if you have to write a check on?
It's an ACH process, so we just transferred the money today for that 500,000,
So 24
it'll
hours.
be in there tomorrow.
Okay.
But I think that one had to go into the money market and then we have to transfer it to the checking, so we're not sending that check out until Monday.
And it's easier to write checks off a regular bank than you can't write checks off the LGFB. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have to transfer it over to the checking account.
Okay. Moving on to fiscal year 26-27 budgets. We have a budget calendar, which I hope everybody got a chance to look at, pretty similar to past years. So I'm just looking for approval of the budget calendar. Any questions, concerns?
That'd be done in independent districts or all, yeah, you want to do.
The budget calendar applies to all three, so this can, we just do it once. Was that a question?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to approve the budget calendar, which begins.
Motion by Director Webb,
Second.
second by Director Polisi. Any discussion? Did you do a roll call, WLFEA roll call vote?
And WLFEA directors, Cindy Russell,
Yes.
Linda Stint,
Yes.
Mike Webb,
Yes.
Adam Holbrook,
Yes.
Vanessa Bus,
Yes,
Stephanie Restrepo, Jim Polisi,
Yes.
David Carrillo,
Yes.
Lori Heppel, Keith Stanton.
Yes.
Okay, then budget officer, now we'll need three motions for budget officer. I'm suggesting that the board appoint, it could be anybody that want to appoint, but I suggest that we use Deputy Chief Rob Chance. I'm teaching him the budget process and how we do it, and I think this would be a great opportunity for him to take the reins of that. He doesn't get a choice.
he's like.
For Western Lane Ambulance District, I get a motion to appoint Rob or anybody you would like as the budget officer.
I move that we appoint Rob Chance as budget officer.
Motion by Director Russell, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Director Bus, any discussion? All can you do a Western Lane Ambulance District roll call vote?
Director Cindy Russell,
Yes.
Linda Stint,
Yes.
Mike Webb,
Yes.
Adam Holbrook,
Yes.
Vanessa Bus.
Yes,
Thank you. Same question for Sarasota Valley Fire and Rescue Directors.
I motion for Rob, Deputy Chief Rob Chance to be the budget officer.
Motion by Director Curlow,
I'll second it.
second by Director Denton. SFR roll call vote, please.
FAR Director Stephanie Restrepo, Jim Polisi,
Yes.
David Carrillo,
Yes.
Lori Heppel, Keith Stanton.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Okay, now the same question for WLFEA. That could be anybody.
I'll make the motion that we have
Motion by Director Stent, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Director Bus. WLFEA roll call vote, Colin.
FEA Director Cindy Russell,
Yes.
Linda Stint,
Yes.
Mike Webb,
Yes.
Adam Holbrook,
Yes.
Vanessa Bus.
Yes,
Stephanie Restrepo, Jim Polisi,
Yes.
David Carrillo,
Yes.
Lori Heppel, Keith Stanton.
Yes.
Okay, then open committee positions, we have two on the SFR Budget Committee, we don't need to vote on tonight, but we do have one applicant. Margaret Sorensen, who highly involved, her husband highly involved with the amateur radio group. And so I've met her several times over the years. And we are still looking for one more board budget committee member for SFR. So we will, the board will appoint next budget or next board meeting. For that. But if you know somebody that would be willing to help us out, it's easy.
Then
again, that's for the SAP part.
Hey, Chief Joe Boudreau is interested in a position if you want to reach out to her.
Really? They're not keeping you guys busy enough?
She's kind of close.
We quote you
She'll be happy.
What was that, Mike?
Joe's row.
Oh,
I haven't.
Okay, next item, we were gonna surplus our old Scott SVAs, but we're gonna push that off until next board meeting. We're trying to get a value of those, if there is any value, and then the board will decide. Yeah, we want to surplus those, then board could decide to donate those to another department. They could decide that we want to sell those, or they want to throw them away. That would be up to the board.
Is there a need locally then?
I brought it up in the last fire defense board meeting, and there are several departments that were interested in receiving those. They were very excited when I brought it up. And put out some petition.
Are they willing to pay or they left it donate?
I don't know that they have the means to pay. If we're gonna surplus them, if we're trying to get money for them, then we try to do that through, a supplier. But if we're gonna go to, we got those SCBA's 15 years ago on a grant. So to turn around
we got our money.
and try and sell them to a department, but I don't know.
I wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
If we got them on a grant, my feeling is that we distribute them locally to whoever needs them.
But the board could pick, we'll bring this department, like this department, they're usually smaller departments that desperately need those.
But yeah, very close. Swisscom, Deadwood, again, I haven't spoken to Mapleton, but Reedsport was very interested, and Chesapeake Bay is very interested, Gardner even, so then our direct neighbors.
I got a quick question.
Yeah, house to the north.
How many of them?
We're down to like what, mid-30s, 35, 30.
If we do decide to donate them to whatever agency, do they have to give us a letter that their staff have been fit tested, that they're capable? What I'm saying is there a liability if we give them to somebody and say somebody wasn't fit tested?
The liability, if they're not fit tested, falls on them if they make entry.
Oh, so nothing can roll back on us.
We haven't decided really,
Yeah, so we
at least in our,
definitely reach out to legal and make sure that
Okay.
we're covered.
God forbid that would happen.
Yeah.
One of the conferences, I've come across companies who make it their business to deal with the selling of surplus equipment.
Correct.
There's several out there. And we might consider utilizing them, at least trying them out. To see if we can get a better return, 'cause they basically take over the whole process. There are at least two that I am aware of that come across at conferences, so vendor tables.
We reached out to our direct, suppliers, SCBA suppliers, to try and give us a ballpark figure, and we were hoping to have those numbers by tonight, so a decision can be made, but if we don't hear anything from them, we could definitely look into some third-party companies to take over that process before everyone makes a decision.
Nothing else. We can just see what their response would be.
Yeah.
Feel it. Hey, what would you do if we gave you this surplus? What might we expect? Let's see, please understand, I'm not trying to be one side or the other. But we received those on a grant, which means that federal government tax dollars paid for it. So if we get them, why would we turn around and sell them and collect the money? If anything, sell them and give the money back to the feds and say, here, here's more money for another grant for someone else. I just have a moral ethical issue about taking money. Which is why I said in general. A surplusing of any equipment. ERs and third parties who do this sort of thing. Correct. This particular one that you're talking about, this particular SCBA is okay. But I'm talking in general, that there are these companies. Correct, yeah, I know, there are vendors. Since we are looking at trying to make up some additional revenues. And here's an opportunity. So some cases, yes, there's a grant and the right has to go that way, great. But in general, I think we need to consider trying out or at least investigating these third-party vendors. Absolutely. One of the alternatives to surplus of equipment. Things that our tax base is paid for, I totally agree.
It's similar to some of what we've done with some of the vehicles. Which is probably our biggest surplus items for the most part.
Just that it very, it doesn't cost anything tax.
Right.
Okay, so that'll be in February. Policies, new policies for review, we're in the 800s. So any questions or comments on our policies, let us know. And we'll address those. But now I was going to talk to the board about our fire chief assessment process. Now, I had a handout. So we had an assessment on January 9th. Well, I'll back up a little bit. So I met with the board presidents, which we decided after the December meeting, I think, to discuss fire chief opening. And their desire was to initially open it up to internal candidates, which we did. We had one applicant, Deputy Chief Chan. He was invited to an assessment center, which consisted of an oral resume, questions and answers, and you've got the questions that he was asked. Public speaking scenario and an HR scenario. And on the assessment board were the 3 board presidents. They asked Director Stephanie Restrepo to join them. We also had Rick Yesney, former West Chelan Ambulance District board member. Jason Hawkins, who's the current CAO at Peace Harbor Hospital. And Aaron Reynolds, city manager, and we had Laura Lindeman from staff. And they grilled Rob for a couple hours, had some great questions. And had some great answers from Chief Chance. And my objective was for that group to say, yes, Chief Chance is qualified for the position, or if they had reservation. I think, and I'll let the board members speak for themselves, but I think it was pretty strong support that Rob is definitely qualified for the position. You know, Director Russell, Director Webb, if you want to say anything?
Rob did very well. We've been through this process before. Rob did very well.
Before we get into that, I'd like to say something here to the board. And that is that, I don't object to our chance to meet the request over for the taxpayers here, but I do object to the process of not looking elsewhere. When I first joined this board, it was yelled at me that the sole single most important function of this board was to exhaustively find a good chief to come in.
Can I interrupt you for a moment, please?
Yes.
We did not say this is the only place we were gonna look. We were looking internally first. Both Director Webb and myself have been through this of trying to find the chiefs and going nationwide, but most, I can't say all corporations, but most corporations look internally first. We have a succession policy in this organization for a reason, so that we can look internally first. This is exactly what we did. We asked for internal candidates. We looked internal first.
There's only going to be one internal candidate, obviously.
We didn't know that.
Has been functioning as the deputy chief. Now, the point here is, it is always good, best to try to bring in internal. But we need to also see if there are others in the community, in the area, which are equally or perhaps better qualified. I don't know if there is anyone.
I don't know any organization I've ever been in where they did not go for internal first.
What I'm objecting to. There was a presentation that was made at the last conference about choosing a good fire chief.
If I can interrupt for a second, I think those are great questions. I was anticipating there'd be an executive session after the board had a chance to ask Rob any questions. And then those kind of discussions would be held in executive session. Since
Thank
we're
you.
talking about employment issues.
Thank you.
That's okay.
I have no objection to that.
Okay, so, now I'd like to give any board member opportunity to ask, Rob any questions, about the position. Anything is, well, anything legal you can ask is fine. those are the questions that were asked of him.
There
Before.
were several other questions also asked during the.
I didn't, yeah, those
Yeah,
personal questions,
that,
yeah.
that the city manager asked and also that the Jason Hawkins asked.
And Stephanie, first
And then Stephanie asked quite a bit also, which were brought out more values and considerations for us to look at.
Right.
I have a question.
Yes.
When I moved to Florence in 2011, and I've been through several chiefs in that time period, particularly because I was involved with Red Cross and things, firearms and all that. And yeah, do you have a future plan that, like, you would be chief for 5 years, or do you anticipate doing 10 and be that in the future?
I won't be eligible for retirement in 10 years.
Well,
But no, I won't be. So hopefully I can stick around longer than that, whether that's in the position of fire chief or deputy chief, but I mean, I'm a lifer here. I've raised my kids here, it's where I call home. So I'm here to stay unless something happens, but I'd like to stay. And I mean, I love the community, I love people that I work for and serve. I'm here for the long run.
And I don't have a question, just a comment. Having been a lifelong resident myself, there's something very unique and special about bringing somebody up that's been here, is invested, has raised family, and deeply rooted in the community. I know that most of our chiefs, and correct me if I'm wrong, have been from outside sources and not local. I think we have a rare and unique opportunity to have somebody that's invested here. I mean, really invested here, in our community, in his family, and the people that he serves. And I think it would be an awesome opportunity to give that a shot, because we haven't done that before, unless I'm wrong. So I think it's awesome. I look forward to that.
Piggyback on what Director Bush just said too. We're blessed to have somebody that the money we're gonna save, not training somebody else to know target hazards that we have here. Target hazards specifically for our district. That the access points to those places, the rapport that he's already been built with the hospital system, with local PD, with Lane County, with Parks and Recs, with the Coast Guard, all these things, all these reports that he currently has is just worth its weight in platinum. He knows target hazards, he knows the quickest access to those places, which could be life-saving. To try to train somebody, to bring somebody outside, and maybe they get along with the hospital, maybe they don't. Maybe they have personality problems. Maybe they get along with law enforcement, maybe they don't. But to have somebody internally that's gonna be here for the long haul. And we don't have to train them, we don't have to spend that money training, we don't have to take a chance that they're here for 2 years and they're gonna play a job before they leave. They use it as a stepping stone. It's just all the knowledge that he already has with the community.
Yeah.
It's worth its weight in platinum.
Absolutely.
So I think that Morris, it's gonna be very difficult for somebody from the outside to effectively compete.
Agreed.
Somebody coming up from the staff, but not to give the opportunity there. Because we have, even within the.
So I propose we move to
I got
executive
one more
session.
question. So if you find the car you like, that has the options you like, in a budget that fits what you want, and it's all set up, got all the options that you want in your budget, are you gonna say, no, I'm not gonna take it, I'm just gonna look for another car?
No, I'm gonna say, this is probably one, but let me just look around to make sure that that indeed is my best choice.
Why? If that's got everything you want.
I make a
Okay.
motion that we move to executive session.
So a motion
Call
is
for the
made,
question.
seconded to consider the employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent. So we will move to executive session. I would like to excuse Rob, so you can be as blunt as possible. We will exclude Polly and Chief Gray,
Let me get rid of the.
and we'll have to, close it online.
I just, Rob, go stand by elevator. going up and down.
You stand in the corner.
Stop the recording,
Yeah.
Holly.
Okay, return to general session. No decisions were made in the executive session. Are there any motions director would like to make concerning the fire chief position?
I would like to make a motion to move forward to bring candidate Rob Pence for chief.
Okay, motion by Director Bus, is there a second? Second by Director Carrillo. Is there any discussion?
Point of clarification, negotiations. Yep.
Yeah, I just had the, discussion that I'm opposed to doing this without a clear process. It's not so much against our offense, it's that we are ignoring, going through a well proven, submitted by the associations process that benefits everybody, even when a single candidate is presumed and probably will be the one at the end, because it was hard to overcome some issue was already well established within the agency.
Correct.
So I'm want to be in that position in that regard.
Thank you, Director Stan. Any other discussion? Holly, can you do a WLFEA roll call vote?
WLFEA directors, Cindy Russell,
Yes.
Linda Stentz,
Yes.
Mike Webb,
Yes.
Adam Holbrook,
Yes.
Vanessa Bus,
Yes.
Stephanie Restrepo, Jim Gleason,
Yes.
David Carrillo,
Yes.
Lori Huffle, Keith Stanton.
No, just because of the process.
Okay. Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. We have a motion to, next, sorry, we have director comments. Any director comments? Hearing none, our next meeting is Thursday, February 26th at 6 P.M.
22nd, 26th.
26th.
Today's the 22nd.
Motion to adjourn.
Today's.
Motion to adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.